I've probably been at Home Depot a good like 50 times over the past week. They should really sponsor me. Home Depot, if you see this, how doers get more done, I love it. I love it. Sponsor me, sponsor me. Just kidding, just kidding. Hey guys, RPM here. Hope you're doing well. Having a really great day. This video, I'm just gonna go through everything regarding my new mining location electrical setup here. I bought, I think, everything I needed to run the electrical in EMT conduit for basically 2 mining areas. I'm gonna mine here, and then I'm also gonna be mining over here. Hopefully you guys have been keeping up with my videos over the past week here. And yeah, I gotta run the EMT, I gotta run the 10 gauge cabling, and I'm just gonna go through a lot, explain everything that I'm gonna do. None of this is electrical advice, none of this is networking advice. I'm just doing this all myself because I can't pay anyone else to do this work anymore. I really don't trust anybody. And as well, I've been swindled over the past, I would say, half year of a lot of money from electrical to other, renovations that happened in this house. So I'm decided to do everything myself. I wanna do it myself because I only trust myself and I don't trust anyone else. So guys, gonna explain a lot in this video. I gotta run a lot. All right, I'm gonna begin first here with the 200 amp circuit panels. I have a 400 amp service for anyone that's wondering. And so I need to run more 240 volt 30 amp circuits. Okay, I have a lot of Siemens 30 amp 240 volt breakers here, and I'm essentially gonna run, I think, a good 6 or 8 onto this circuit panel here, okay, 200 amp circuit panel, and then another 2, actually 3. There's actually already 1 breaker here, but that's not wired in yet. So I'll have another 3 240 volt amps here, and then I have another 6 or 8 here. Now, this is not electrical advice or anything. Please consult your Red Seal electrician. Personally, in my location here, I do not want to go past 160 amps on each of these circuit panels. So right now I do have a lot of other, breakers on this 200 amp panel, like 20 amp circuits upstairs. I'm not necessarily using a lot upstairs anymore because I was for, heating my house during the winter time, but more so I'm not doing that anymore. But I do have a few little things running on here, like the water boiler, maybe some lights around the house, but really that should be under about 30 amps or so. So realistically, I maybe only want to add a good 100 amps on here. So if I were to do like 4 30 amp breakers here at 24 amps, then that would give me a good, 96 amps at the 80% rule on 4 30 amp breakers. Okay, I'm not going to go past 30 amps on each circuit. I want to stay within the 80% rule, as everyone says. So that's why I'm running this, 10 gauge wiring. Now, there's some people out there that recommend running 8 gauge wiring for 240 volt 30 amp, but to be honest, with a lot of people I've talked to with their experience as well, they say 10 gauge wiring on 30 amp is just fine, especially if you're going to be doing the 80% rule. So 24 amps usage on a single circuit. Okay, so that's what I want to achieve here. Just to be safe, I don't want to go past that. So yeah, realistically, I don't want to use 160 amps, concurrently on the single panel here. I probably maybe want to go up to 100, and then I have a little bit of, I guess, capacity for whatever else I have around the house, just in case. Now, on this panel here, I do have a lot of, I guess, services that this panel is using, like my dryer, fridge, oven, washer, dryer, all that kind of stuff is mostly on this panel here. So realistically, which I already have a few 240 volt 30 amps here for my servers, and I do have one for my test rack over there. So I have 2 30 amps basically being utilized. Oh, and actually I forgot, I do have another 240 volt 30 amp there. So realistically, yeah, I have 3 services that I'm using already in the basement. So realistically, I could add another 2 here, and then I do have this one that I could fill up as well, another circuit. So essentially I could have 6 30 amp 240 volts here, but if I added that all up together, that would be almost 150 amps. Do I want to use 150 amps here on this circuit just for mining? No, because I have my dryer, I have washing machine, stove, whatever, all that kind of stuff on this panel here already, plus, you know, lights and some other stuff around the house. So similar idea with this panel, you know, I only maybe want to go up to 100 amps just for mining. But here's what I'm going to do later on. I am going to run 2 more 30 amp breakers here, populate the 3, so I'll have just the capacity just in the future. I'm not necessarily gonna use it, but it's gonna fill up this panel essentially. And same thing goes with this. I think I can add, actually, yeah, I'm gonna add 1 more dual 15 amp tandem breaker and then 8 240 volt 30 amps on here. Not necessarily gonna use those 8 240 volt 30 amps, you know, to the max, but I'll have it there as I will make sure, you know, I'll document everything and just label everything so that I know what is going to be what on each circuit panel. Then I can assess how much power I'm going to use, especially that I need to hit that, you know, almost 150 amps usage, about 35 to 37,000 watts in order to hit that 7 cents kilowatt hour. So let me know what you guys think about that. Okay, moving along, not only that, I do need to run 120 volt as well. Okay, so this is actually going to be mainly for 2 exhaust fans, which I just ordered, 24-inch exhaust fans. One's going to go here, and then I'm gonna have another one over here as well. Okay, so 24-inch exhaust fans that have about 3,300 to 3,500 CFM, and I think they take about 190 to 200 watts at 120 volt. So I'm gonna need to run a 120 volt plug circuit, you know, somewhere, I don't know, here, somewhere here, all right, and another one over there somewhere so that I can plug in a 120 volt fan and whatnot. So that's going to be here somewhere. And of course, you guys know, then I'm going to run those 240 volt 30 amp circuits here. I do have the 1-inch conduit here that I am wanting to place up into the ceiling here. And that's going to go, I was going to go into the corners, but I realized if I did that, then I would need to do another bend or, you know, another 90 of some sort to go in the center. And I'm a bit OCD, so my plan is to have this pretty much in the center, right? It's gonna go, you guys understand, it's gonna go like this, okay? Just like that, and then I'm gonna have the 3 meters, or maybe 4, I'm still deciding, on this wall here for 3 or 4 240 volt 30 amp circuits, okay? And guys, just to let you know, my car fits just perfect in my garage. You guys can see what my car is. Oh, it's an SUV, but yeah, it fits just perfect. There's a little bit of room. I'm thinking of actually pushing the shelf a little bit more this way because I do plan on getting an old truck, and so that might fit a little bit better in here if I were to move the shelf a little bit more, because my SUV does also fit, or can fit here as well. So that's down the road. Okay, but going along, guys, so this is the 240 volt 30 amp meters I want to run for the back there. I'll explain the power for this area here in a second. So I did ask a lot of you guys wondering about how I should run the meter boxes on essentially that wall there. And I was mentioning either doing it, you know, vertical, 3 vertical, or side by side. And most of you guys said to do the side by side. So here we are, right? I have the 1-inch EMT connector here. All right, so I'm gonna have to drill a 1-inch hole at the top here so that I could affix this onto the meter box. And this 1-inch connector for the conduit is gonna fit just perfect into here, right? As the 3 240 volt lines will go into here. And then another 10 gauge line is gonna go here. Another 10 gauge line is gonna go here. Okay, and I have more couplers here. Not a coupler, I guess the connectors, and I had to use the scoring tool. This is not 1 inch, but this is 3/4 connection here. And I hate using this scoring tool. It was such a pain in the A trying to cut out just a little tiny bit so I could get, a little bit there. As you guys can see, it's not a coupler, but it's a connector. Okay, I do have these 1-inch couplers. These are gonna be for the 1-inch EMT. And I also do have the 1-inch connectors as well, right? Just, I don't know if I need to use, actually these are gonna be for the ends when I do the tops there, right? So that I don't you know, this is just so that there's no like, I don't know if this is called like an end that's already flared so that it's not going to rip the 10 gauge wiring. Okay, so one thing I wanted to explain actually with the 10 gauge wiring now, a lot of you did mention that Red Panda, you shouldn't run Romex into conduit, EMT conduit, and yes, there are some YouTubers out there that I've Googled that Romex in EMT is completely fine, but there are some people say out there that if you run Romex in EMT, there might be an issue with heat. So in that case, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be cutting the sheathing on this, you know, solid wire, 10 gauge solid wire Romex cable, right? Essentially the Romex, I'm guessing, is just because of the orange sheathing, and there's also like a brown wrap around it as well. So I'm gonna take all that off and then just run the singular wires through. So that's only gonna be cutting, I'm gonna be cutting the sheathing off just for the EMT, but when I get to my, you know, exposed ceiling here, I'm gonna be keeping it as Romex, okay? So once I go into there, it's gonna come out there, right? It's gonna be just like the other Romex that's just sitting here, okay? So when I get to the EMT, which is gonna be onto this side, the conduit, I'm gonna cut the sheathing off in there, and it's just gonna be bare wire all the way to the end. So that's gonna be, really, that's gonna be an insane amount of work to get this off, but it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, as long as I cut a line, make sure I don't also cut the inside of the wire somehow. I just gotta be careful when I do that. But I did go to Home Depot and I did check to see if they had any of the 10 gauge, you know, individual wires in stock, and they rarely had any other colors right now. I think they only had black, and so it'd be really hard for me to distinguish that. Plus it was really expensive, a lot more than Romex cable for some strange reason. Romex is actually cheaper than the singular 10 gauge wiring for some strange reason. But anyways, I think I'm pretty much ready. I do have all the, I guess these are the brackets for the EMT, right, for the conduit. I got everything ready to go, got the anchor screws for the drywall to screw that in. And yeah, I also did inventory for all my PDUs that I have. So currently I only have 3. So I went ahead and I ordered 10 more PDUs from Alibaba. They're about $60 each. I got them from Guangdong something. I'll show it on the screen here. I ordered 10 of them. Shipping was like 250 bucks or something. So realistically, each one was almost 80 bucks, 90 bucks. But the cool thing about these PDUs is that they have 3 C19 plugs and also 8 C13, C14 plugs. So I know down the road when I place Octominers here, eventually if I do an Octominer wall of some sort, that some of my Octominers have 2 HP server PSUs or 3 or even 4, and they have that daisy chain cable that go into a C19. So those PDUs that I have coming in the next, you know, week or 2 here are gonna give me the ability to plug those rigs in very easily. Okay, going back to, I guess, my meter box here. I don't know if I really explained it, but let me know if you guys think this is a good way or not. I guess I gotta drill more holes for this side as well. I just realized I gotta find the screws for the L630Rs, okay, receptacle plugs that are gonna go into here, essentially. I need screws for the 4 corners, and I also need to screw the meter boxes into the wall. I guess I'm gonna be using the anchor screws for these 3 here. So let me know what you guys think about this setup. Is this okay? It should look pretty cool. So imagine this onto the wall over here. Okay, I'm probably have to cut a little bit longer, 1 inch, and then conduit, and it's gonna come somewhere along here because this part of the shelf is gonna be where the PDU's network switch is gonna be, which hopefully, yeah, the network switch should be 240 volt as well. So yeah, I won't need any 120 volt for the shelf here, but I will need 120 volt for the exhaust fan. Yeah, that's gonna be here somewhere. Okay, and then lastly, I think what I need to explain is the networking. I do need to run networking for each spot. So 2 different network runs. I have them ready. I actually don't have enough Cat6a connectors, but I have the wire. The wire is enough here. So there's gonna be a Cat6a connection on that side, and I need a Cat6a connection on this side, which I'm gonna do later. I'm gonna be focusing power for that end first. I'm kind of conflicted on this area here, on where I should run 240 volt 30 amp here. So I do have about 200 foot 10 gauge wire, but that's gonna be mainly for here, and so I did calculate it's about under 45 feet for the 10 gauge wiring from the circuit panels all the way to those 3 that I will have there eventually. But when it comes to this area here, how or where should I be running the 10 gauge wiring? So I was thinking of running the 10 gauge wiring somewhere around here. Okay, so it'd be, you know, decently close, and so I won't have too much resistance. Unlike from the circuit panel from here to the far end, which I said is about under 45 feet. I wonder if there's gonna be some resistance or voltage drop as I go from that end over there to over here. So now for this mining part over here, how or where, you guys let me know, where should I run the 10 gauge? Should I just do it right in the ceiling there in front of the window, as I'm gonna have the shelf right here? Or should I run the 10 gauge, the receptacles over here? Somewhere on this wall, or maybe in the center, I don't know, you know, something. I was thinking of doing it on where I don't have an electric car, but this is electrical plug. If I did another, you know, 3 or 4 plugs here, I just don't want to, you know, have cables running across here and then going to the shelf here. It'd be kind of stupid because I still want to walk this way, right? So do you guys think it would be a good idea? Which I'm not going to be doing meter boxes, because buying those meters are not cheap. And I mean, I do have the extra meter boxes here, but it's the D-Rock meters that cost a lot. But you know, I was just thinking of doing regular of these, and the new PDUs that I have coming actually have watt meters in the PDUs already. So I was just thinking of doing regular little single gang boxes, you know, with the L630Rs, and having them essentially, what do you guys think? Up in the ceiling or something like that? You guys can let me know. That's gonna be for another video. Like I said, this video I'm just focusing on explaining for most of you guys here how I'm gonna run my 10 gauge for the far end over there. But I guess this video is also explaining a little bit for here as well. But you guys let me know. This is what I'm focusing on today. This is gonna be a lot of work. I bought some drill bits for my Milwaukee handheld set here, so I'm just gonna, like, I don't know, hopefully there's not gonna be a big block of wood right in the center here. Hopefully I can go through. I'm also gonna take out this thing here because I'm not using it. There is no square cutout up at the top there. So that's gonna come down so that it'll give me a little bit better access to run the Romex here and then turn it into the singular wire. I'm gonna take the Romex off like I explained earlier. All right, I'm gonna start doing this now. This is something I really need to get done. I really need to start doing, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Let me know your thoughts. Appreciate you all. Have a good one. Peace out. Peace out.